Imagine this, the Dallas Mavericks just drafted a 6'9" teenager, and instead of easing him in as a role player or a spot-up shooter, they're handing him the keys to the offense. Not as a backup, not as a complementary piece, but as the primary point guard, right out of the gate. Sounds outrageous, doesn't it? Yeah, Jason Kidd has pulled this exact move before. Years back, he took a raw, freakishly athletic Giannis Antetokounmpo and threw him into the deep end as the Bucks' main playmaker. We all know how that story turned out. Now, he's attempting a similar experiment, this time with Cooper Flagg. With Kyrie Irving sidelined, Anthony Davis needing a creative partner, and the Mavericks entering a new era, Flagg isn't just a future project. He might be their next big franchise pillar. And what's truly terrifying for the Western Conference? This gamble might actually succeed, so let's break down the boldest project in the NBA right now, and why Dallas might just have become the scariest wildcard in the league. Why Jason Kidd is the right man for this. Jason Kidd knows a thing or two about developing unpolished talent into superstar. His biggest success story? Giannis. By forcing him to handle the ball and embrace discomfort, Kidd accelerated Giannis' rise from an intriguing prospect to an MVP caliber forward. Kidd wants to replicate that formula with Flagg. I want him at point guard, Kidd said. I want to see how he reacts when he's uncomfortable. Let him run the show, slide into different positions, and adapt. And Kidd's logic makes sense. He's seen firsthand how pushing a young star beyond his limits can ignite untapped potential. 2016-17 season, Giannis was turned into Milwaukee's full-time point guard. His scoring shot up, he began notching triple-double, won most improved player, and earned his first All-Star nod, all while finishing 7th in MVP voting. That was the start of his journey from promising kid to league-dominating monster. Cooper Flagg is no ordinary teenager. Standing at 6 feet 9 inches with impressive vision, endless energy, and refined offensive skills, he was already trusted at Duke to act as a lead creator. At Duke, Flagg wasn't just another forward. He often initiated offense, bringing the ball up and setting up teammates. He finished the season averaging 4.2 assists and tallied 156 total assists, a whopping 41 more than anyone else on the team. His passing IQ and feel for the game were well beyond his age. Now, with Kyrie out for the season after an ACL injury in March and unlikely to return until 2026, Dallas needs someone to fill the creative vacuum, and they believe Flagg can handle it. Their roster, with Anthony Davis, Daniel Gafford, Derek Lively, and PJ Washington anchoring the front court, is perfectly set up to support a young ball-dominant creator like Flagg. If Flagg grows comfortable orchestrating the offense, not just scoring, but truly controlling the flow of the game, it could transform his ceiling entirely. He wouldn't just complement a star guard, he could become the engine of the Mavericks offense. With Kyrie out until at least late February or March, Dallas' starting five seems pretty clear. Cooper Flagg at point guard, Klay Thompson at shooting guard, PJ Washington at small forward, Anthony Davis at power forward, Derek Lively at center. Sure, there might be tweaks, Christian for Klay, or Gafford for Lively, but one thing feels inevitable. Flagg will be the Mavericks starting point guard on opening night. At first, many thought Dallas would hunt for a temporary point guard while Kyrie recovered. But what would they do with that player once Kyrie returned? Bench him, trade him. Instead, moving Flagg to point guard solves both the temporary gap and unlocks a long-term development path that could elevate his ceiling even higher. The learning curve. Of course, this isn't going to be smooth sailing. There will be turnover. There will be games where he looks overwhelmed. Social media will explode after every rough performance. But that's part of the process. Unlike Kidd's situation when he entered the league, Flagg will be surrounded by seasoned champions. Kyrie, AD, Klay, guys who know how to win and guide younger stars. Think about it. Flagg was only 4 years old when Kyrie was drafted, and 5 when AD went number 1 overall. That generational gap means he's stepping into a room full of mentors. Flagg himself called it a blessing, eager to soak everything in. Kidd echoed that, saying it's the perfect environment for Flagg to grow, not just as a player, but as a professional. Looking ahead, if Dallas stays patient and lets Flagg learn through mistakes, by the time Kyrie returns, he'll have developed invaluable skills as a lead decision maker. That will relieve pressure on Kyrie and allow him to ease back in without heavy minutes. On defense, pairing Flagg with AD plus Lively or Gafford gives Dallas insane length and switchability. Early in the season, they can focus on building a top-tier defense, similar to how the Clippers leaned on defense without Kawhi. Build that defensive identity first, then plug Kyrie back in and watch the offensive ceiling explode. Next moves. Dallas does still need a reliable backup ball handler. They have one open roster spot and a $5.7 million taxpayer mid-level exception to work with. 2 names have popped up, Malcolm Brogdon and D'Angelo Russell. There's real mutual interest between Russell and Dallas, and some insiders even consider the Mavericks frontrunner. Are the Mavericks about to transform into immediate title favorites? Probably not. History tells us even the greatest rookies rarely swing a team into instant championship unless you're Magic Johnson with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar in his prime. And let's be real, Dallas doesn't have an all-time top 3 player on the roster, at least not yet. But this move isn't really about winning the title next year. It's about redefining the Mavericks' future. Think about what happens if all the pieces fall into place. Kyrie comes back fully healthy, ready to torch defenses again. Anthony Davis stays on the floor, anchoring both ends with his elite versatility. Cooper Flagg rapidly evolves into a confident ball handler and floor general general who can take over games and command respect from day one. If all of that clicks, Dallas could transform from an interesting experiment into one of the most dangerous, unpredictable teams in the entire league. A squad nobody wants to face in a 7-game series. And here's where it gets really exciting. Even if Flagg struggles at first, and he absolutely will at times, those struggles are a gift in disguise. They're an investment into his development, a runway for him to crash, burn, learn, and ultimately soar. Meanwhile, the Mavericks defense could carry them through those rough patches with AD, Flagg, and Lively or Gafford forming an athletic, switch-heavy core. This team could frustrate even the most potent offense. Imagine teams coming into Dallas thinking they'll feed, only to run headfirst into a wall of length and mobility. Then, once Kyrie returns, he slides in as a high-octane scoring option, rather than being forced to carry the entire load. That dynamic alone could extend Kyrie's effectiveness deeper into the season and the playoffs. A new identity for Dallas. This isn't just a basketball experiment, it's a cultural reset. Jason Kidd and the front office are sending a loud message. They're not content with just making the playoffs or hovering in the middle of the pack. They want to shape the next great era of Mavericks basketball, built around versatility, youth, and bold forward-thinking ideas. Flagg is the symbol of that vision, a towering playmaker who doesn't fit neatly into any traditional box, a potential positionless star who can redefine what a modern guard looks like. For the fans, this is electric. You're not just watching another season, you're witnessing the birth of something new. The early frustrations, the missed shots, the turnovers, they're all stepping stones. Each failure is a brick in the foundation of what could become a championship caliber core in a few years. But let's zoom out for a second, because while Dallas is rolling the dice on this bold experiment, their rivals aren't standing still. Just a few hours away, the San Antonio Spurs are quietly assembling a monster of their own. They've now won 3 straight drafts and are building an ultra-modern, high-skill roster that could become a juggernaut in the West. The I-35 rivalry might evolve into one of the league's best storylines over the next decade, with Flagg versus San Antonio's young stars headlining primetime battle. And then there's the rest of the West. Denver, still riding high behind Jokic. Minnesota's young core finding its stride. Golden State trying to squeeze one last run out of its dynasty. OKC, the reigning champion. It all sets the stage for a Western Conference landscape that's not just competitive, it's downright chaotic in the best way possible. The bottom line, so are the Mavericks a lock to hoist the Larry O'Brien trophy in 2026? No. But are they about to become one of the most fascinating must-watch experiments in the entire NBA? Absolutely. Flagg at point guard isn't just a headline, it's a philosophical shift, a bet on talent, versatility, and long-term vision over short-term safety. If it works, we might be talking about Cooper Flagg as the leader of a new Mavericks dynasty, a 6'9" floor general who redefined what's possible. And if you're a fan, buckle up, because whether they crash spectacularly or shock the world, this is going to be one hell of a ride.